Well, we can just start. We got a quorum with 2 people.
Welcome, everyone, to the Monday, August 14th committee meetings of the Bellingham City Council. Earlier today at 10:30, the Planning Committee met. That will be reported tonight at the evening meeting. Our first committee meeting in the afternoon is Public Works and Public Safety, and the chair of that committee is Terry Borneman.
Thank you, Michael. Joining me on the committee is Roxanne Murphy and Jean Knutson. We have 2 items before us today. The first item is an interlocal agreement between the City of Bellingham and the Port of Bellingham for installation, operation, and maintenance of casings, conduit, and district energy piping within Granary Avenue and Laurel Street. Ted?
Thank you. Good afternoon. Ted Carlson, Public Works Department. As Council is aware, the City and Port entered into a larger interlocal for facilities agreement having to do with infrastructure in the waterfront sub-area plan. As part of that interlocal agreement, the City is required to build certain infrastructure, parks, and transportation. This particular interlocal agreement is associated with the Granary Laurel Street project, which will also have city utilities and franchise utilities within the right-of-way of Granary Laurel. This interlocal agreement would be specific to that project and would allow the city to build the port for certain elements of that project, including some casings that need to be constructed underneath the railroad track. The city will be making several crossings for city-owned utilities, private franchise utilities like Puget Sound Energy, natural gas, fiber, conduit, and also a casing for district energy specific infrastructure. Again, this interlocal agreement deals with how we would recover the costs associated with the port infrastructure. It also lays out the parameters for operation and maintenance of that port-owned infrastructure moving forward, since they will not be operated under a franchise agreement like the other utilities, and it won't be city-owned utility. We need some mechanism to outline whose responsibility is for what. So we are looking for council action on this today. There's no specific cost to the city. Rather, it allows us to recover costs that the city may incur.
I'll move approval of the interlocal agreement.
I just want to say that one of the things that I'm most hopeful for on the waterfront is the possibility of district energy, especially if it allows us to use waste heat recovery and reduce reach our greenhouse gas emission goals for the entire waterfront. I was worried maybe we were closing a door on this, but my understanding now is that by providing the casing for district energy, that option is left open in the future. So I appreciate that fact.
Aye.
We will recommend approval to the full council tonight. And our next item is...
What did you say? Oh.
Microphone?
Oh, got it on now. Thank you. The next item is a bid award for the 2017 TBD restriping project, ES-0536, in bid number 42B, 2017.
Thank you. Again, Ted Carlson, Public Works Department. This is for the non-motorized portion of the Transportation Benefit District funded projects. We're really breaking that project into 2 categories this year. This is the striping and channelization component, having to do with installation of bike lanes, installation of some sharrows in certain areas. There's a map in your packet. Projects are spread throughout the city, being driven by the prioritization as part of the bicycle and the pedestrian master plan. We'll be coming forward later with the second component of the non-motorized funded projects having to do with sidewalks and some of the concrete specific work. But we did want to bring this project forward. Staff is recommending that we award bid to the lowest responsible and responsive bidder that came from Apply-A-Line. And if you have any questions, the project engineer is here and can speak to those.
Okay, committee?
Move approval to award the bid to Apply-A-Line for restriping.
Gene?
It's my same old line question, Ted. That's a new name for me. Has they done work for us before?
It's a good question. They haven't done a lot of work up here, at least any recent work, but this project was a little bit different in that the way it was bid here was just striping. It was putting down thermoplastic paint it didn't have any real civil construction component to it. So typically, we'll get a general contractor that will perhaps sub out this type of work. The way we bid it out, we brought a few different contractors into play, I think, than we typically would. It's a well-known contractor, one that we've worked with in the past.
Okay.
Yeah, and I like the fact that we were 110,000 under the estimate. That's always a good thing. So, Michael?
Thanks, Terry. So I have a question. In many cases, we're adding markings where they didn't exist before for exception sharrows. For the places where we're talking about bike lane channelization, are we changing the channelization or just remarking, or are we actually creating bike lanes in these cases?
A couple good examples are on streets that came to council previously where we asked for approval to remove parking. Orleans and Woburn are two examples of that. Well, we will actually be putting in a bike lane where one does not currently exist. There wasn't enough physical space to do that and allow parking on both sides. So we removed parking on one side and put in a bike lane on that side, keeping parking on the opposite side of the street. So in some cases, we're putting in bike lane where they don't exist. Other cases, we're putting in sharrows where we don't have the width for the bike lane. And Chad may have to help me on this.
So, yeah, like Ted said, we are adding bike lanes in some facilities, adding sharrows. We're also trying to remove some of the confusion, for instance, in the intersections where we have green-backed sharrows. We're grinding those away just because with our green bike boxes, it's a little bit confusing. So we're just going with the standard white sharrow throughout the city so we can be consistent across the board.
Yes, Roxanne.
One of the things that I really appreciate is that we're actually using the bicycle master plan as a guiding document rather than just a set of recommendations that sit up on a shelf for a very long period of time. So I appreciate that we're following through on that.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor, answer aye.
Aye.
Okay, we will recommend approval tonight. End of committee.
Thank you, Terry. Well, unfortunately, you went so quickly. Our next committee is not...
My committee's efficient.
Okay.